Hello, YouTube. Today I thought I'd try to do something new and a little bit different from like character studies and stuff like that. I was kind of inspired by the Absolute Wonder Woman, and I decided, hey, why not try to do like Absolute Spider-Man or whatever the like feeling of Absolute Spider-Man kind of. I know there's one coming out from Marvel. I forget the name of the actual comic, but try to do a little bit less of a gritty Spider-Man and more of a fun, like just thought piece on how it would work. And I drew this out just to like show like the picture and stuff. So, Absolute Spider-Man, the Blind Wolf Absolute Spider-Man. We all know the story of Spider-Man, the brilliant, meek science nerd from Queens, a loving aunt and uncle, a tragic mistake, a lesson about responsibility, and a legacy born from guilt. But what happens when you strip away every single safety net? Welcome to the Absolute Universe. Here there is no cozy house in Forest Hills, no Uncle Ben to guide his moral compass. This is Peter Parker, raised in the system. An orphan, a street smart athlete, and a kid who responds to a cruel world with sharp sarcasm and clenched fists. He isn't the smartest kid in the room, and he definitely isn't tracking towards an Ivy League scholarship. Kind of relies on his relatability. Today, we're plotting out the origin of Absolute Spider Man, a story where Peter doesn't just lose a mentor, he loses his sight, forcing a brutal evolution into something far more dangerous. Our story starts in an underfunded orphanage in the heart of the city. Without Ben and May, Peter grows up hard. He's regular, his grades are thoroughly average because he doesn't care enough to try. Instead, he pours his frustration into sports and street fights. He's got a massive chip on his shoulder, sarcastic, quick witted, and highly reactive. If you push him, he bites back twice as hard. But he isn't invincible. Enter Mr. Harris, or whichever name you want to give this high school teacher. Harris is that one educator who sees right through Peter's defensive walls. He recognizes the latent, raw cognitive potential buried under years of institutional apathy. I think it was really important to have a role model for Peter, and to be a teacher would make it even more important because teachers kind of shape who you are and who you grow up as. If you get a good teacher, it could change everything for that person. That's why I thought it might be nice to have a teacher. Peter doesn't want to go on the advanced technology field trip. He thinks it's for preppy kids, but Harris forces his hand, dragging him out of his comfort zone, and that's where destiny catches up to him. In a high-tech lab filled with experimental bioengineering, a rogue specimen finds the kid from the orphanage. The bite doesn't make him a hero at first. It doesn't change his morals, and it doesn't change who he is, a spunky street rat that gets into fights often. So it kind of mirrors the Fantastic Spider-Man 2 and things like that, where it's just kind of generally he gets bit by the spider on a field trip to a science museum. Maybe the science museum's run by some type of evil villain organization or something like that. Next would be Act 2, The Arrogant Peak. Looking at the design from the image, this isn't a scrawny kid hiding behind a full mask. He's got his hair flying free, a cocky grin on his face, and a physique built from athleticism enhanced by the spider DNA. When Peter gets his powers, his immediate reaction isn't wonder, it's toxic arrogance. For the first time in his life, the orphan has all the power. He starts skipping classes, abandoning his sports and teams, and using his abilities to humiliate the people who used to look down on him. He feels invincible until Harris catches him. Harris tracks Peter down after he misses a crucial exam. It's not a shouting match, it's a heavy grounded conversation. Harris delivers the core truth of this universe. You've been handed a gift that you could pull out of the dirt, Peter. But when you have the power to lift yourself up, you have the responsibility to lift up the people around you too. So, kind of that with great responsibility comes in, and the words cut through Peter's armor for the first time. He feels genuine shame. He walks away, resolving to go back to the school the next morning, look his mentor in the eye, and apologize. But like all Spider-Man origins, that there is the mentor that ends up passing away. As Peter approaches the school the next day, smoke is already billowing in the sky. A catastrophic chemical fire has ripped through the science wing. Panic is running rampant. Peter uses his insane strength to breach the building, tearing through smoke and falling debris. Then he hits the ultimate crossroad. Through the thick black smoke, Peter finds them. Trapped under a collapsed structural beam is Mr. Harris, but just a few yards away, pinned beneath a heavy lab station surrounded by the encroaching flames, is another student. He rushes to Harris. He can lift the beam. He can save his role model, but Harris looks across the room at the terrified student, then looks back at Peter. Through the haze, the teacher nods. A silent command. Save them. Be the person I know you are. Peter makes the choice. He turns his back on his mentor to pull the student free, but as he drags them towards the exit, a secondary chemical tank detonates right in Peter's face. A blinding flash of white hot magnesium light and toxic vapor. He gets the student out of the fresh air, collapsing on the pavement. The student survives, Mr. Harris does not, and as the sirens wail in the distance, Peter realizes the world has gone entirely permanently black. Just like in the image, he's blind. And I think it's important for this part specifically because it goes into what's really important. It's the with great power is great responsibility. And as Peter's blind, he gave up his sight for the student, trying to help them get out. And I think that's important because it strikes into the core lesson. Even in the absolute universe, there is that fundamental thing that holds their character. This is Peter Parker's lowest blow. He's back in the orphanage, grieving the only person who ever believed in him and completely stripped of his eyesight. But this is where the absolute twist truly shines. The radiation or genetic modification in his blood doesn't just give him a standard spider powers. It adapts his trauma, pulling traits from a different arachnid family, the wolf spider. Wolf spiders don't spin webs to catch prey. They hunt on the ground. They survive through an extraordinary sense of touch and vibration. Peter's body adapts. The microscopic hairs on his skins, the ones that grant him the ability to stick to walls, become hypersensitive radar dishes. He can feel the microscopic shift in the air currents. He can map a room instantly based on acoustic reverberations of footsteps. His spider sense undergoes a radical upgrade, shifting from a vague warning system to a full-fledged real-time spatial map. He can't see your face, but he knows your heart rate, your stance, and exactly how fast you're swinging a fist at his head. And then comes the conclusion, the birth of a new icon. When Peter finally puts on the suit we see here in the image, he isn't fighting for a neat and tidy moral code. He's fighting because he knows exactly how dark the world can get when you're left completely in the dark. The cocky smile isn't just arrogance anymore. It's defiance. It's a message to every criminal in the city. I don't need eyes to see right through you. That is absolute Spider-Man, a street-brawling, sightless hunter who turned his deepest tragedy into an evolutionary leap. But what do you think? How do you feel about this wolf spider adaptation, and how do you think villains like a gritty industrial absolute Green Goblin or Doc Ock would try to exploit a blind Spider-Man and Peter Parker? Let me know in the comments below. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next breakdown.